Welcome to Bite at a Time Books Behind the Story, where we answer the questions you have about your favorite classic authors. What inspired your favorite author to write their novels? What was going on in the world at the time? Follow along with us as we tell you what was happening in the world while your favorite authors wrote your favorite classics. My name is Bree Carlile, and I love to read, and wanted to share my passion with listeners like you. If you enjoy our show, be sure to follow our show so you get all the new episodes. You can catch us on all the social medias at Bite at a Time Books, or on our website, biteatatimebooksbehindthestory.com. If you would also like to hear a story by the author we're currently featuring, check out the Bite at a Time Books podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Today we'll be talking about the character and appearance of Lewis Carroll. Health problems. The young adult Charles Dodgson was about 6 feet tall and slender, and he had curly brown hair and blue or gray eyes, depending on the account. He was described in later life as somewhat asymmetrical, and as carrying himself rather stiffly and awkwardly, although this might be on account of a knee injury sustained in middle age. As a very young child, he suffered a fever that left him deaf in one ear. At the age of 17, he suffered a severe attack of whooping cough, which was probably responsible for his chronically weak chest in later life. In early childhood, he acquired a stammer, which he referred to as his hesitation. It remained throughout his life. The stammer has always been a significant part of the image of Dodgson. While one apocryphal story says that he stammered only in adult company and was free and fluent with children, there is no evidence to support this idea. Many children of his acquaintance remembered the stammer, while many adults failed to notice it. Dodgson himself seemed to have been far more acutely aware of it than most people whom he met. It is said that he caricatured himself as the dodo in Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, referring to his difficulty in pronouncing his last name. But this is one of the many supposed facts, often repeated, for which no first-hand evidence remains. He did, indeed, refer to himself as a dodo. But whether or not this reference was to a stammer is simply speculation. Dodgson's stammer did trouble him, but it was never so debilitating that it prevented him from applying his other personal qualities to do well in society. He lived in a time when people commonly devised their own amusements, and when singing and recitation were required social skills, and the young Dodgson was well equipped to be an engaging entertainer. He could reportedly sing at a passable level, and was not afraid to do so before an audience. He was also adept at mimicry and storytelling, and reputedly quite good at charades. Social connections. In the interim between his early published writings and the success of the Alice books, Dodgson began to move in the pre-Raphaelite social circle. He first met John Ruskin in 1857 and became friendly with him. Around 1863, he developed a close relationship with Dante Gabriel Rossetti and his family. He would often take pictures of the family in the garden of the Rossetti's house in Chelsea, London. He also knew William Holman Hunt, John Everett Millais, and Arthur Hughes, among other artists. He knew fairy tale author George MacDonald well. It was the enthusiastic reception of Alice by the young MacDonald children that persuaded him to submit the work for publication. Politics, religion, and philosophy. In broad terms, Dodgson has traditionally been regarded as politically, religiously, and personally conservative. Martin Gardner labels Dodgson as a Tory who was awed by lords and inclined to be snobbish towards inferiors. William Tuckwell, in his Reminiscences of Oxford, 1900, regarded him as austere, shy, precise, absorbed in mathematical reverie, watchfully tenacious of his dignity, stiffly conservative in political, theological, social theory. His life mapped out in squares, like Alice's landscape. Having failed to obtain exemption from the college's standard requirement for dons at the time, Dodgson was ordained a deacon in the Church of England on 22 December 1861. In the Life and Letters of Lewis Carroll, the editor states that his diary is full of such modest appreciations of himself and his work, interspersed with earnest prayers, too sacred and private to be reproduced here, that God would forgive him the past and help him to perform his holy will in the future. When a friend asked him about his religious views, Dodgson wrote in response that he was a member of the Church of England, but doubted if he was fully a high churchman. He added, "I believe that when you and I come to lie down for the last time, if only we can keep firm hold of the great truths Christ taught us, our own utter worthlessness and his infinite worth, and that he has brought us back to our one Father, and made us his brethren, or so brethren to one another, we shall have all we need to guide us through the shadows. Most assuredly, I accept to the full the doctrines you refer to, that Christ died to save us, that we have no other way of salvation open to us but through his death, and that it is by faith in him, and through no merit of ours, that we are reconciled to God. And most assuredly, I can cordially say, I owe all to him who loved me and died on the cross of Calvary." Carroll, 1897. Dodgson also expressed interests in other fields. He was an early member of the Society for Psychical Research, and one of his letters suggests that he accepted as real what was then called thought reading. Dodgson wrote some studies of various philosophical arguments. In 1895, he developed a philosophical regressus argument on deductive reasoning in his article What the Tortoise Said to Achilles, which appeared in one of the early volumes of Mind. The article was reprinted in the same journal 100 years later in 1995, with a subsequent article by Simon Blackburn titled Practical Tortoise Raising. Thank you for joining Bite at a Time Books Behind the Story today, while we answered some of the questions you have about one of your favorite classic authors. Again, my name is Bree Carlile, and I hope you come back next time when we answer more questions about one of your favorite classic authors. If you enjoyed our show, be sure to follow us so you get all the new episodes. We would also love for you to drop us a rating on your favorite podcast platform. You can catch us on all the social medias at Bite at a Time Books, or check out our website, biteatatimebooksbehindthestory.com. Our show is part of the Bite at a Time Books Productions Network. If you would also like to hear a story by the author we are currently featuring, check out the Bite at a Time Books podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, or on biteatatimebooks.com.